My childhood was great. You know, I was raised in a really strong bonded family, little fishing community, Downeast Maine, Stu Bend.
Michael was a great kid. He was fun. He was a leader, always a leader. And he used to go to Beano with my uncle when he was little, and the older ladies, you know, they just loved him.
I was raised by my sister's father. When I found out who my biological father was, I actually lost both my fathers. You know, I just felt at 10 or 11 years old, what is wrong with me? Why don't these men want to father me? You know, I thought that, you know, if anybody would want a son, I would be it. And that followed me through, that I didn't measure up. You know, even though I never told anybody or acted out early on, I just felt that hole that I just didn't measure up enough for somebody to love.
Boy, it brings back memories for sure. This is the birth area of my opiate addiction.
My junior year playing Husson, I got kicked in the head. I went to a rheumatologist in Bangor, and he prescribed me 3 different narcotic opiate painkillers. The first day I took all those prescriptions properly, I knew right then and there that that was the solution to all my problems. Not just the pain in my neck, but the solution to all my stress, all the issues that were coming at me. You know, where am I going to work? Am I going to marry this girl that I'm in love with in college? You know, family issues. It wiped all that away.
You know, this makes it real for me. The past 15 years of my life. You know, it started right in this town. But, you know, I have a lot of respect for this place. They do good stuff, and, you know, I think a lot of Maine Maritime, and, you know, they gave me the opportunities. I just didn't take it. I wasted it.
You know, I did hold it together until they cut the pain medication off from me. Within 2 weeks of stopping my pain medication, I'd gone from taking prescribed pain medication, abusing prescribed pain medication, not taking it, I was abusing it, you know, to shooting heroin. Heroin, where I'm from, is the taboo drug. That's what kills you. But I was becoming sick without the opiates. And so, you know, I threw caution to the wind. I didn't want to be sick, but I also didn't want to die my first time doing heroin, but I still did it because I didn't want to be sick. And I'd been sick before, and it's miserable. So I shot it, and I remember laying back on my bed, and it started at my head and went right to my feet. It was just a warm sensation. And again, all the stress and problems that I had washed away with that as it traveled through my body.
The overdoses and the needles and, you know, all that stuff is part of the hard addiction. But watching it strip away a person's decency, you know, is the hardest thing. That's probably the hardest thing for me, is watching my son go from a vibrant, you know, loving, caring person that could light up and make a room laugh, to somebody who people are running from, you know, even family members, you know, are running from him because he's this monster now.
I started, when I first started out with opiates and the heroin, I hadn't immersed myself enough into it to actually know anybody that overdosed. You read about it or you heard about the guy 2 towns over that nobody really knew that died. My whole town became addicted. People that I trusted, people that drove the fire trucks, people that, the selectmen of the town, these are people that, people look to for guidance, answers. And these are the people that I started, running into to buy pills from, or they were there when I bought pills, or I was snorting pills with them. You know what I mean? It's like, I, last year alone, attended 7 family gatherings for overdose deaths from southern Maine to Downeast Maine. People that I can actually look back on childhood memories and smile. It was a good time. Burning the Little League field before Little League, season started. We thought it was great. We were firebugs. That guy is dead. A kid, that, I went whitewater rafting with 3 or 4 times. He's dead. A kid I went through all 4 years of college with, he's dead. Maine is trying to arrest their way out of this problem.
Maine drug agents made more than 600 arrests in 2016, about half involving heroin or prescription pills.
That's our role, is to disrupt that supply.
And it's not getting any better. It's only getting worse.
I understand the efforts and the community all involved and whatever, but people have busy lives too in the communities, in businesses and whatever, and whatever, and they all start out with good intentions, but then all of a sudden it fades out, and that's what I'm really worried about. So I don't know.
Do you realize that right now there is only 10 detox beds in the whole state of Maine? Do you realize right now there is only 30 male community status reentry beds? That just blows my mind when other states and other countries are proving that therapeutic communities, community status living, giving a convict, a felon, an addict purpose to do better, giving them training, giving them their responsibility back, letting them get their life back on their own, they are earning it, works.
He was pretty, bloody and stuff. I didn't know that he overdosed until he told me that that's what happened, that he overdosed, and some guy tried to drag him to take him to the hospital.
They gave me Narcan, 2 doses of Narcan, but I still wasn't responsive, and I died in the emergency room, so they put me on life support and put me in critical care. I was on life support because I wouldn't breathe on my own for, almost 2 days. So on the 3rd day, they took me off the ventilation tubes and stuff, but they kept me in critical care because they didn't want to let me go on the streets because I was such a mess.
No matter what he was doing, no matter how bad, how much money he stole, how much, it didn't matter. It mattered, but I never gave up, never ever.
My mother pretty much came in and told me, grabbed me and said, you're supposed to follow me to the end of my life, not the other way around.
I never gave up on him. I never will.
Re-entry goes back quite a number of years. Our roots initially were really the halfway house movement. What we do here is in the last anywhere from 6 to 12 months, sometimes longer, we take gentlemen, they're all men. This is a 32-bed men's re-entry center. And we bring them here. We give them, depending on their needs, 100 to 300 hours of cognitive behavioral therapy. We teach all kinds of courses, as you could well imagine.
I quit doing drugs after my overdose, but I couldn't let go of drinking. So my probation officer sent me to jail for a full revocation of probation, which was 18 months. And while I was in Hancock County Jail, the lieutenant gave me the opportunity to apply to the reentry center. There was a bunch of programs, but the biggest one that I gravitated to, and I really felt that there was something there for me, was the restorative justice program.
Restorative justice is based on a philosophy that addresses harms and wrongdoings from a community perspective. As a community, we tend to turn a blind eye and say, let law enforcement, let the courts, let those other people deal with that. You know, I'm just going to stay right here. They did it, they just need to deal with it and go through that system. And so restorative justice brings it back home to say that as a community, we also have an obligation to those individuals that have committed harm or wrongdoing. And how do we, as a community, rally behind them if indeed we as a community want to deter any further criminal behaviors on this individual?
Seems like a really great opportunity.
Yeah, I have to get I have to jump through a few things. Like I gotta do the background check.
Mm-hmm.
And if I have to be vetted, which I'm already a felon.
Yep.
But they know that, and if you tell an addict to do something, they're going to do the complete opposite. You know, but if you leave it up to them to make the decision, you know, that empowers them, and I feel that that's why it works. Is, you know, they humanize the addict, and they give the addict a voice, whereas a lot of programs is set in its ways. You know, this is what you're going to do, no matter if you like it or not. You can buck the system as much as you want, but you're still going to do it this way. And with restorative justice, hey, why don't you sit down, let's come up with a plan together, and if it doesn't work, we'll meet back in so-and-so days and tweak that plan and try something else. But you get to make that plan up. Nobody's making it up for you. You know, I got a mentor while I was there early on.
Somebody in the community, not to help them do the kinds of things we're doing with them, to be a voice, to be another ear to listen to.
You know, she's an old hippie from the 60s that drives a Prius. And I'm thinking to myself, when I first met her, and the first day I went out, I think we went to Camden or something, walking around, and I was like, oh, this is never going to work. You know, I'm not a Bernie Sanders supporter, you know, and she had the sticker, you know, and I was like, this is just never going to work, you know, but it did. That was just another piece of connection for me to a healthy environment. Here we go. The end is crooked. There we go. Here we go.
Okay. All right, Eddie, start it off.
I'm so happy to say happy birthday.
Okay.
Happy
birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
My days are really good. Every addict, you know, has setbacks, just like everybody, I guess, you know. But like I said, today's are good. I have a brand new baby boy. He's 2.5 months old. His name's Finley. Misty, the girl that I met in Portland many, many years ago, and I stayed friends and stayed in contact, and we dated on and off. Great woman, great mother. And right now we're co-parenting. So we're doing 1 week her, 1 week me. Every other Sunday I look forward to this trip, and every other Sunday I dread this trip, because I either get my son for the week and I get to love my son, or I give my son back to his mother with all good faith that he's safe, loved, and happy. But ever since I've had him, you know, I've started to change my whole entire life to fit him. You know, there's nothing else. There's no other priorities, you know, in my life except him now. Whereas before, my priorities were all over the map, because, you know, it was just me. I was a selfish prick, and, you know, you didn't like me, you got burned by me, you loved me, I loved you, whatever, it didn't matter.
Everybody needs to be part of something that's bigger than themselves. You know what I mean? Because that's what it's all about, is myself, right? Yeah, I know.
What is he doing? Hi.
Yeah.
No.
Go see you tonight, Mama. I'll video when I get back. Has he slept?
On the car, so I'd probably be awake.
All night?
Not all night, but I slept in the car for less than
Alright.
I used my father's shortcomings as an excuse for many years on why I abused drugs or why I drank. I hid behind that because it was easy. Everyone knew the story. I hate doing that now. You know, I'm an adult. You know, I'll own my side of it now. And, you know, I look back and now having Finley in my life, I thank my fathers for the experience that they gave me. The abandonment, the hurt, the depression. Now that I have my son, I know on a daily basis, I will never put him in that situation.
What are you doing? Say, hey, what are you doing, mister? Say, hey. See it? Yeah, right there. There it is. There it is. Yeah. It's the water right there. Look at all of it.
I was the oldest grandson, so my grandfather kind of took me pretty much as his own kid. He's deceased now, but when I was trying to figure it out, and when he got sick, you know, he always said to me, you know, something good will come of this. That's what he always said to me. You know, hang in there, something good will come out of this. Always. He repeated it to me, and I never believed it because it was so miserable, you know. And, you know, I missed a lot of years of my grandparents because of my addiction. My grandfather actually passed away while I was incarcerated. But I got to say goodbye to him. I got to make amends with him. I wrote him a 5-page letter letting him know that when I was a kid, you know, he was my hero. A lot of kids wanted to be Superman or a fireman or a doctor or a helicopter pilot. And I just wanted to be just like him because he was a good man. And, you know, I got to tell him that over the phone before he died. And then my mother read him the letter that I wrote him. And my grandmother buried it with him because I guess it meant a lot to him. But, you know, I feel that on a daily basis that still rings in my head. You know, something good will come of this. And if there's an opportunity to help an addict or if there's an opportunity to join an organization for recovery, I do it because I feel that I'm holding up to my end of the bargain with him by doing that.